Remember when Hollywood was still able to make fun, well-written, action-packed, swashbuckling adventure movies with interesting characters and talented actors? Well, I do, and a perfect example of this bygone age is The Mask of Zorro, a cracking little adventure movie from 1998 starring Anthony Hopkins, Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones. What is it with all these Welsh people? It's a film that I didn't pay much attention to at the time, spoiled as I was with great movies to choose from. Oh, how times have changed. And it's only when I rewatched it a few weeks ago that I really came to appreciate how well put together it is. And damned if I'm not going to give it a glowing review here, so let's get started, shall we? The movie begins during the Mexican War of Independence when corrupt Spanish Governor Montero is cracking down hard on local civilians that are demanding greater freedom. He's about to stage a big public execution when suddenly a masked swordsman shows up to save the day. In case you hadn't guessed it from the title, this guy is Zorro, a local freedom fighter that's become a champion of the people. Basically, he's a Mexican Robin Hood mixed with a bit of Bruce Wayne. When he's not fighting corruption and oppression as Zorro, he's Don Diego de la Vega, a Spanish nobleman who lives in a sweet mansion with his beautiful wife and young child. Nice one, senor! But it all goes tits up when Montero tracks him down with a platoon of soldiers and his wife gets killed in the crossfire. De la Vega can do nothing but watch as Montero steals his daughter away and burns his home to the ground. Bastard! Flash forward 20 years and De La Vega manages to escape from prison so he can get some much deserved payback. The problem is, he's old now and Montero's rich and powerful, and worst of all, he's raised De La Vega's daughter Elena as his own. Clearly he's gonna need some help for this, so he recruits local thief and petty criminal Alejandro to be his protege, resurrecting the legendary Zorro to start a vendetta against his old enemy. So the movie's basically a two-pronged revenge story. De La Vega wants revenge on Montero for destroying his life, and Alejandro wants to kill Montero's right-hand man for murdering his brother. Pretty soon, their plans bring them into contact with Elena, and a romance begins to blossom between them. It sounds a bit convoluted, but the gist here is that both men want to kill the bad guys and save the girl, albeit for different reasons. The Mask of Zorro basically delivers everything you'd want in a movie like this. The training montage that turns Alejandro from a scrappy fighter into a proficient swordsman. Remember when heroes had to train and struggle to reach their full potential? Remember when mentors were allowed to impart wisdom and experience? The first clumsy encounter with the enemy where the new Zorro learns to master his abilities. An undercover mission that brings Alejandro into contact with both antagonists. A growing romance between the hero and the leading lady, and conflict between student and mentor as their differing objectives threaten to derail their plans. And of course, it all comes together in a big action-packed finale with kick-ass sword fights, explosions, revelations, and satisfying payoffs. What a fun, well-crafted movie The Mask of Zorro is. It's a perfect example of the classic adventure story and a solid exploration of the hero's journey. And what elevates it above your standard breezy action movie for me is the surprising amount of care and thought that's gone into the story and characters. Everyone's got an understandable motivation that consistently drives their decisions and behaviour. They make logical choices and go on meaningful story arcs. Even villains like Montero are actually given a bit of depth and nuance, demonstrating compassion and regret at times. I mean, they're still bastards, but they're not completely evil. Yeah, okay, Captain Love can be a bit OTT at times, like keeping the head of one of his victims in a glass jar. But apparently, the real historical Captain Love actually did this shit, so go figure, I guess. The movie centres around some pretty heavy themes, the obvious one being the cost of revenge, but there's also questions of family identity, passing the torch from one generation to the next, and the misuse of power. When his successor Zorro starts to go to Alejandro's head, De La Vega's quick to shoot him down and remind him why Zorro exists in the first place. But at the same time, his own vendetta against Montero starts to drive a wedge between the two men. They each have something to learn from the other, and the script is well balanced enough to show this without cheapening either man. Is this what we used to call consistent writing? What's great though is that despite the interesting ideas lurking beneath the surface, Zorro never takes itself too seriously or gets too bogged down. There's just enough light-hearted humour and snarky comebacks to give the film a sense of levity and fun. And damn, this is one scene you absolutely wouldn't be allowed to shoot today. performances are solid across the board. Antonio Banderas is funny, charming and likeable as Alejandro, managing to switch easily from rough and ready outlaw to suave aristocrats. Catherine Zeta-Jones is beautiful, smart and feisty as Elena, proving that she's more than just a damsel in distress. I mean, the script doesn't try to turn her into some kind of superwoman, but it also makes it clear that she can look after herself if need be. And well, Anthony Hopkins is one of those guys that pretty much dominates every scene he's in. I actually watched Zorro as part of EFAP movies, and honestly, there were big long stretches where nobody was even saying anything. We were just sitting there, enjoying well-written scenes played by competent actors. Imagine that today. 90s action movies tend to date worse than any other decade, probably because they were so desperate to be cool and edgy that they immediately marked themselves out as products of their time. But Zorro looks like it could have been shot last year. The set pieces make effective use of stunt work and practical effects, the sword fights are fun and inventive, and some of the cinematography is genuinely beautiful to look at. Overall, it's a damn good action-adventure film that's aged remarkably well, and doesn't seem to get nearly as much recognition as it deserves these days. And if you haven't seen it since it came out, I recommend you give the Mask of Zorro another look. I actually think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Just do yourself a favour and give the sequel a miss. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.